and we were going to kind of talk about each of our top 10s, but I pulled a fast one on Zach, and I combined our top 10s. So number 1 got 10 points, number 2 got 9 points, et cetera, et cetera. I combined it into a list of 16 movies. Now, it's pretty crazy, Zach, that we each turned in a top 10, and we came up with a total of 16. We didn't have much overlap between you and I.
Yeah, I saw your list, and a lot of similarities. I did notice that, and I think you pointed this out earlier, the number 1 on my list is not on your list, and the number 1 on your list is not on my list.
It's crazy, isn't it?
That is pretty crazy. So it's interesting where they ranked in this combined list.
Yeah, I gave you the benefit of the doubt. I gave you the number.
They tied.
Yeah, I gave you the number 1 spot because you're the guest, and I don't want to deal with any comments from the fans of this movie who, whenever I say something bad about it, they're like, "I hate you. Opinions matter, and they're right or wrong."
Yeah, I'm gonna probably feel the same stuff for my opinion on your number 1 as well.
All right. So let's get started. All right, with number 16, which you watched last night. My wife and I, podcasted about this movie, and we dropped a ton of amazing facts. So go back and listen to this one if you're listening. And it is Gareth Evans' Apostle at number 16.
Yes, Apostle.
I don't know what you think, but I love this movie. I think it's so weird. I love the final shot. I love the fingers getting ripped off. I love the mountain barfing blood. I love Dan Stevens in this movie. He has this shifty-eyed thing that I like about him, but he's still very capable. And Lucy Boynton's in it. She's always good. She has a good horror trilogy with Blackcoat's Daughter, I Am the Pretty Little Thing That Lives in the House, and then this on Netflix. So she's really good.
And she's in Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, she's good in that one too. All right, well, we can talk about that one later because I have thoughts on that too. So do you. But so what do you think about Apostle?
I genuinely liked it, but I thought my biggest problem with it is it felt like there wasn't one clear movie. It felt like 3 different movies, but not just 3 different stories, but like 3 different directorial styles.
Yeah.
Like his raid sensibilities come out in the action scenes, and it doesn't really feel like it should be in that film. Like when he escapes from imprisonment, when he has the sticks or the tree limbs, and he like stabs the guy in the face with it, and it's sped up in that kind of raid redemption way. Mm-hmm. It's like, whoa, that's a different movie. And then the woman in the woods is, spoilers. That stuff is really interesting to me. And I thought that could have been explored a little bit more and could have been maybe even the focus of the film. And it felt like there's a lot of ancillary focus on other things. And I think it could have been a really great 90-minute film.
Yeah, just a tight 90.
Yeah, but there's a lot I liked about it. I just felt like there's a lot of stuff we didn't end up needing in it.
What I love
I think that's my reservations with it.
No, my bad. Dan Stevens, I liked. At first, you think he's just this really drugged out guy, but then he switches out the ticket, and he's a capable man, and I like that about him. I was like, oh, he's just gonna get on drugs and he's gonna mess something up, but then he just keeps chugging forward with this kind of wild-eyed style, and I really like that from him. And I didn't like the guy who became the antagonist. Like, he was just too much. Like, that's my complaint about The Mist, too, with Marcia Gay Harden. Mm-hmm. It's just, like, the overzealotization, I don't know if that's a word, of a character where it's just too easy. I feel like it just goes over the top with it, and that guy definitely does it. But, I mean, this movie features a dude getting his head drilled in. There's a little dude with a sack on his head. I mean, there's just... and at the end, just him smiling. Like, it actually reminded me of Annihilation a little bit. But I just loved, I don't know, it's just so weird, I guess. It didn't feel familiar to me, and I didn't know where it was going, so I definitely had to put it in my top 10.
Yeah, and I think that last shot is very interesting because it looks like he's almost becoming.
Yeah.
Like his face is turning into the woman.
And he's smiling a little bit.
And he is, and then Apostle,
Oh, so it was, I gotta show my wife The Guest, but after she watched that, she's like, I gotta watch The Guest. And I'm like, yeah! I love that movie.
Dan Stevens is a very underrated actor, and especially in The Guest. The Guest is just his charisma on point for 2 hours, and you're just like, oh, don't be a bad guy. I like you too much.
And the final line is brilliant.
What the fuck? Is that what it is?
Yeah. All right. 15 is The Ranger. You want to talk about The Ranger?
Yes, The Ranger. I don't know if you had seen this yet, but I'll talk a little bit about it. I saw this at the Chattanooga Film Festival this year, and it is the debut feature of Jen Wexler, who has been an indie horror producer on stuff like Darling and some other like high-profile horror movies that kind of tore that festival circuit. It's a slasher film that is in the style of something like Return of the Living Dead. And
punks.
It's punks. It's these like miscreant punks that are going to a cabin in the woods that one of their like the main girl's parents.
Chloe Levine,
yes. I should have all these names.
I got them. It's all good.
Yeah, I'll have you be my point.
There we go.
And how much? So this cabin, they basically, I think it's her dad. Again, I saw this back in April. I think her dad used to own it, or her grandparents own it.
Her dad owned it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's hers, and she brings her friends who don't treat it with any respect, and you see this kind of punk mentality come up against the ultimate adversary, the Ranger. And the Ranger, which is the
I thought Jeremy Horn was very good in this movie. I liked him a lot in this.
He's really good, and I've seen him in bit parts and other like TV shows and movies, but he plays a really effective slasher villain, and he's just like this vessel of absolute order against these punks. And it becomes, as I described to my friend who is the producer on it, Heather Buckley, I called it Lisa Frank on DMT.
Wow.
And if you know Lisa Frank is, she did all the like rainbow colored unicorn designs of the 90s that kids all had in their backpacks.
Wow, that's brilliant. That's a really great explanation, because this movie, when I watched it, right, I wasn't going to say I was the biggest fan of it. I really like Chloe. I like Jeremy. But when I thought about it later, I can still see the movie's visuals and style and costumes, and the way they shot it really sticks in my head. And that makes sense with Lisa Frank, with that comparison. So she made a very unique looking film. You're right.
Yeah. And the colors in the movie are just astounding. And I think that what I really like about it is it does use these very heightened visuals and a very heightened genre, the slasher genre and the kind of punk horror genre, and does ground it a little bit in some character work, some like nice character work with the main character. And I like that this like Ranger going up against these punks. It's just a good, it's just a good scenario to a classic slasher scenario. And it's gory, which is fun. Mm-hmm. And it's just really pretty. I couldn't believe just how colorful it was on the budget level they were working at.
The one thing I kind of missed, I was hoping we were going to get the punks from, when I read about the movie, I went and found it on Redbox, which is pretty awesome. And I was watching it. I kind of missed the punks from Green Room, because these punks that I was watching, like, these aren't punks. I was like, you know me, when I was 19, I'd have picked these kids up and ran around with them. Yeah, but probably 3 of them. But I guess I kind of got into them. I was like, Mark, you gotta get over yourself. And then I just got really into that Chloe. I thought she did a really good job. I liked her a lot. And then I don't know. Yeah, you're right. Would you know what the budget was? I didn't look this up.
I know it's low. I don't know exactly what the budget was, but not enough.
Yeah, but pound for pound, I'd put it up for how it looks.
Yeah, it's one of the most visually exciting horror movies that came out this year.
All right, so 14 is Upgrade, directed by Lee Wano. starring Logan Marshall Green. We podcasted about it, so listen to that full one. I love this movie. I love the lower budget. I don't know if it's a horror movie, so we won't spend too much time on it, but I've seen it in horror lists, and I just don't like arguing with people what is horror, because I don't know if you think it's horror. I guess it's horror. But for me, I guess the violence is what kind of pushed it into the horror element for me. And just the overall antagonist, just the world. I don't know. For me, I just really loved, just like the Ranger was able to make something out of nothing. I think the Upgrade had a bigger budget, but I love the world that was built in this movie. You an Upgrade fan, Zach?
No,
I waited for Zach. I waited for Zach to take a drink of water, then I asked him a question, and then he, sorry man, you almost choked on it.
How do I do this? Oh my god!
I wait for people to take bites of food, and then I go, hey, so how you doing? And then they're like,
no, I am a big fan of Upgrade. I liked it a lot, and the only reason it's not on my list is because it is in that weird middle ground of, is it a horror movie or not? It's a horror movie in the way that RoboCop isn't a horror movie. There are aspects of it, but it's really more of a sci-fi action with a lot of gore.
Techno thriller.
Thriller. The word thriller. It's what people call horror movies that get too much acclaim. It's no longer horror movies. Thriller.
My definition of genres is it like where it would be in a blockbuster. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
I think this would fall probably in that sci-fi category in a blockbuster.
There was a sci-fi category at Blockbuster?
Oh, yeah. Huh. Sci-fi action.
Oh, okay. Got it. All right. Well, so let's jump to the next one. We got a number 13.
But Upgrade is a really great movie, and it's way better than the remake Venom.
I mean, yeah, they're the same movie, pretty much. And I like what Logan Marshall Green. I like the villain in this movie. I thought the tech kid with his like a literal cloud. I love the set design in this movie, how they brought nature indoors with the clouds and the plants. There were some and also, if you're a fan of the director, he does a very funny interview special with Empire. The guy's just a hoot. And he talks about how he wrote a script. He's like, all right, so there's a fight scene. Logan Marshall Green against 3 people. Oh, budget cuts. Logan Marshall Green against 2 people. Oh, budget cuts. Logan Marshall Green against 1 person. Budget cuts. Okay, Logan Marshall Green walks into a room and there's a guy. All right, budget cuts. Logan Marshall Green walks into a room. Budget cuts. Logan Marshall walks past the room. Budget cuts. Logan Marshall doesn't even go into a building. Like, he just talked about how, from what it started with to what it went down to. And, no, I kind of love that. I mean, the fact that they got a car chase out of this movie, because car chases are expensive.
Yeah.
He was about
most of the budget probably with that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I just love the set design. I love bringing nature indoors. I mean, we could talk about this movie forever, and you should listen to our podcast because I talk about a lot of it. You should do it.
I also think it's a pretty solid allegory about our relationship to technology, and this idea that we assume we are in control, but we are actually presented with a tailored version of a curated version of our reality, and it gives us this illusion of an ideal life, which is kind of how it ends. And I know a lot of films kind of do that and talk about that thing, but this mirrors it in that aesthetic choice of stabilizing the camera on the subject when he's walking around, which is really cool looking. So it literally moves the world around this central figure in the frame.
I need to buy this movie. Cool. I need to buy it and watch it again. I love this.
It's so good.
All right. Well, I'm glad it made the cut, right? I'm glad it's here. All right. So number 13 is A Quiet Place, directed by John Krasinski, starring Emily crushing it all 24/7 Blunt, and some monsters.
I'm hoping she gets an Oscar nom for this, because I think it's that level of performance for a supporting role. It's like she's so like iconic in it. It's one of the more iconic aspects of the film is her experience. I mean,
if you type
pulls it off.
If you type in bathtub horror, there's a cool thing I did for Rotten Tomatoes with all the images of bathtub horror. So you'll like that. But no, this movie, it didn't make my top 10. I mean, this doesn't matter because it's mine and it made $7 billion and it's going to make every other top 10, so it doesn't matter. I love it. If there's a commentary on the Blu-ray, I'll buy it. Just for me, I guess I just like the other ones more. So it's not a matter of, like, that's why I said this year was so stacked, because A Quiet Place was, and then I saw all these other ones, And then also, I gotta say, with my top tens,